everyone could.
We got a chair.
Put this, but right where Christine's standing. Right there, right where you're standing. There you go. We started this year. All right.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to our 2025 edition of our new exhibits. And obviously, you know, on the odd years, our quilters are more than welcome, and we really appreciate everything that all these ladies do. And from that, I would like to not only welcome you on behalf of the Friends of the History Center. We try to do 4 exhibits a year, and when we open a new exhibit, we have our grand opening, and we again thank you for your time. Thank you for taking your morning to hopefully enjoy all the words of wisdom that you're going to get this morning about our quilting. Again, make sure that you sign in because there is a door prize this morning. As you know, we are the keepers of the house. The Friends are responsible for this house and the History Center, running the daily operations. We're in work in tandem with Pathways and with the county, and so this is how all this evolves. Tuesday night we had our annual meeting, and we had the board of directors on, and I would like to proudly introduce some of our members that, if you don't know, that we really appreciate. On the camera, Dave is our board secretary. He's the executive board secretary. Maureen is collections, curations. Everybody knows Maureen. Doreen, right there's Doreen.
We're twins.
Debbie, get out here. Debbie Griffin. Okay. Did I miss anybody? I know I've missed one. But it's very important. Each year, we cannot make this possible without the volunteers and docents that keep this place running. Each year, we have a very special award. 2024 Volunteer of the Year is also a board member. Mel, stand up. Again, if you do not know, all these feeders are out back with the hummingbirds coming and going. This lady is responsible for feeding all those thousands of birds that come through every year.
That's a lot.
Now, to the other volunteer that I think is the most of, Dora, come out here. This lady has helped out every time we trouble. Guess who raises their hand? Right here. And with that said, she's going to tell me to get the hook, get off the stage, because she's in charge now, and she's going to make the introductions. But again, I just want to know how much we all appreciate what this lady and all of our board members, volunteers, docents do to keep the History Center moving in a positive direction. And again, thank you for your time this morning. And it's all...
Okay, so I'm supposed to give some opening remarks, so here you go. Okay, so thank you for coming this morning for one thing, and to our exhibit, which is called Quilting Challenges. Challenges come in many different forms, as you well know, and you will see many of the different challenges that are unique to the quilts as you go through and look at the cards. Because their little challenges are written on there as to what was the challenge to that quilt. The History Center and the Quilt Guild collaborated in 2016 for the first exhibit of quilts in 2017, January, of course. And the tradition has remained, and it's held every other year. And we want to thank the History Center also for all of your help in helping us get this thing going and set up, and all of the publicity that you do for this really makes a big difference, and it makes a difference to both of us. So I wish you to know how much we appreciate that. Okay, a little history on the Quilt Guild. Peacemakers by the Bay Quilt Guild was formed in 1991 by a small group of interested in sharing their knowledge and the techniques of sewing and quilting. The Guild became a 501c3 public charity and dedicated a variety of community service activities and commitment to education of members and the public about quilts, their history, and the techniques of quilt making. This past year, we donated over 400 quilts to different charities in Aransas County and others. Aransas Sioux Children's Coalition, our local nursing homes, the Pregnancy Center, just to name a few. We also sewed 200 Christmas stockings for Children's Coalition, as well as bibs and fidget quilts for the nursing homes and our schools. Okay, we invite you, those of you who are not members, we invite you to come to the Guild meeting, which is the second Tuesday of every month, and it's held at the Peace Lutheran Church on West Market Street, 1302 West Market Street. Our social begins at 9:30, the meeting begins at 10, and we welcome your visit. Quilting has a long history in our society, dating back to the 15th century. It has changed in many ways over the years and actually became unpopular in the 50s and 60s. The late 70s marked a resurgence, thanks in part to the nostalgic interest in crafts generated by the American Bicentennial. We have been on a roll ever since. Quilting has expanded since that time. We not only have the traditional, but we have many different styles. Modern, improv, excuse me, and art quilts, to name a few. In this show, you will see many different styles of quilts, from the traditional to the very modern. We have many gifted artists. One of them was chosen as our 2025 Master Artist at the Rockport Center for the Arts, Susie Broadblatt. This is a well-deserved recognition, and we are extremely happy as it recognizes and emphasizes fiber arts, which many times are overlooked in the art form, as an art form. So I thank you again for being here. Susie, would you like to say a few words, just to say?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I am an original member of this guild. I'm sorry, I don't even come. I'm still working, and for free doesn't count, but it does count. So anyway, I don't get to come to the meetings, so I don't feel like I can contribute what I should, but I still love y'all. You know where to find me. I'll help where I can. And my small contribution this year is from the Art Center. I have been determined that what you do, fabric is art. Mm-hmm. It is just not very well accepted in South Texas. I don't know why. I can't answer that question. I just want to try to change it. So I am not. There are such wonderful fabric artists that you cannot tell that is done with fabric. I mean, they're all over the country and all over the world. I'm a person that sews shapes together, but I'm a foot in the door. And so when that exhibit happens, embrace it, celebrate it, be proud of yourselves, and we'll keep it going. Keep it going. Congratulations.
Yes, my name's Christy Lindsley, and I coordinated the hanging of these quilts and get behind people and say, let's do it, cheerleading. And I just want to thank everybody who showed up today and that came and helped us hang. we had people on ladders that were tall, and helped make decisions about where things should go and how they should look. And we couldn't have done it without all of you. And I'm not going to try to name people because I will miss somebody and their feelings will be hurt. And those of you that contributed as well. So those of you that will be presenting. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyway, I want to again thank you all for being here, and if, I think I will turn it over to our next event, which is going to be Quilting, right? And Megan Braniff will do the narrating.
Okay. So this is originally called the bed turning, where women would bring all their quilts to their local meetings, and they put them on the person's bed in their home, and then everyone would pick up a quilt. This is what I did over the winter, and this is my quilt. So they would turn them so all their friends and neighbors and guild members or group members or home ec members could see them. So that's sort of what we're going to do today. We're also going to go from the past to the future. And you lent me quilts from all these eras. So I thought it might be good to start in the past.
What do you want?
No, yeah, from the past, not yet. Okay. So we're starting in the past. Okay. In 3000 BC, and don't worry, we'll skip a few millennials. But I love you. So, okay, in 3000 BC, there was cotton. And so that is what most of our quilts are now made of, although we can use other fabrics and silk and things like that. And the Latin name for cotton, and I normally didn't bring this up, but the Latin name for cotton is Gossypium hustertium. I mean, it's Gossypium. I mean, it's so weird. But then as soon as the Egyptians started making cotton and for their clothing, they needed to color it. I mean, that's just so typical. You know, we love and embrace color, as you can see. And the first color that they made was called Egyptian blue. And it was very cheap, and they traded it all through Europe. And it was made of copper, silicate, calcium, and mercury. How they had that in 2000 BC, I don't know, but they made it in balls and then heated it up in an oven that was like 1,000 degrees, and how they did that, I'm not sure either. But that was the absolute first synthetic dye. Unfortunately, the Egyptian dynasties fell into disrepair, and their chemical for this wonderful blue failed. And then when Alexander the Great, we are going, conquered Persia and the empire, cotton was finally brought to Europe. So cotton was started to be grown in Spain in 800. It's glad to be out of BC. So blue dye was replaced by indigo. And you've all heard that indigo originated in India, and of course with all the trade routes and stuff they had, that was like the first dye. But then the second ones that we invented and the Egyptians also had, was cotton madder. And that was used for red. And I'm going to show the very first one. This is from the 1800s. Cotton was grown in the United States. Christopher Columbus discovered cotton growing in the Bahamas, and it started growing in the United States in 1607 in the Virginia colony. So our first colors were brown. Now, where do you think brown came from?
Walnuts.
Exactly. Bark, walnuts, anything brown.
Onions.
But this is called double pink. And that was our very first print. And so we use these double pinks. The difference between brown, which was dyed as whole cloth, double pink, they dyed the yarn. So then, they dyed the yarn and then wove it, and then the patterns were created by discharging, which means they probably had to put some kind of bleach or something on it to make the patterns. So that's why sometimes these quilts don't last really long. But that's, the other thing I want you to notice is the T. You see the T in the thing? Okay, the T, the letter T. There's a T. The
But
letter
see, you have to look at them on the side. The T goes.
T for four, it was called 4 for T.
Oh.
Okay, and that was a very popular quilt pattern. Some people and some historians say that it was related to the temperance movement, but it really but the T was a very popular pattern, and Jerry Hansen brought that one. So here, so if you couldn't see the T in that one, let's look in this one.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's big.
That's a big T. So, and blue and white now, blue and white was associated with the temperance movement. So this one could have been made by a very conscientious person who said, you know, maybe drinking isn't such a good idea. But not my friend. So this next quilt was made by a 13-year-old girl right around the Civil War. And this is double pink again, you can see the double pink. And green dye was pretty permanent back then, but also you can see the browns, the greens and the browns. That was very popular back then. And these, you could get these basket patterns in newspapers and publications. Okay, so a little more on indigo. Indigo was very popular, and this is a one that was, it's all hand quilted. It's probably made from the 18th, okay, this is 1880s, maybe a little bit before 1880s. And I tried to recreate it. You can see these patterns probably in that little book over there. But it's a very popular pattern, and I tried to do it, and I had to go to modern to get it fixed. But thank you. I was gonna say, I don't know how she glued it all that. I mean, it must have taken forever.
She didn't have Facebook.
Okay, so that's our oldest quilts. Now we're gonna go from 1880s to 1900s. And this was bought by Peggy McKay, and she said it might have come from King Ranch.
Wow.
Okay, now this pattern is called, okay, no. This pattern is called Right and Left. I know, really creative. But if you look it up, you can see it. So what it is, it's really like a 9-patch. It has this, you can find them with different size squares in the middle. But this has a lot of indigo on it, and then maybe some other used fabric, something like that with it. And let me put it this way, the King Ranch people, thank you. The King Ranch people were very wealthy around this time. So this is really sort of made a homespun thing, so maybe it was done by an employee or a daughter of an employee or something like that. Because this is a quilt that was used. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the back is so beautiful. All right. Now, I don't know if you can see it in the back, but it's a print. It's an all-over print, and the quilting's pretty nice on it. But also around this time, a store called Montgomery Ward's was founded. And they had catalogs. You know, they actually predated Sears catalog. And you could buy like curtain fabric and stuff from them. And then they finally opened stores later. But I'm thinking King Ranch is way out there. And maybe they could order that fabric and put it in there. That's the only way I could think it would be in there. Because of that crazy print. Okay. So now in the 1880s, people had leisure time. I mean, some of them did, not the maybe. Okay, so this is a red and green print, and I couldn't find it. It's sort of like a 16 patch, which was also popular around there, and it's a beautiful red and green quilt as well. But the interesting part is that when you put this together, it forms a secondary design. And some of our quilts today do that, and this one is one of them, and it's just such a great example of that. Okay, this one is very, yeah. Okay, so this is 1880s, where women had time to make decorative, make decorative quilts. And this is all silk. I mean, it's a traditional log cabin, but it's silk and velvet, and all the squares are velvet. And then she has these cute little ties in the corner to tie it together, because it's sewn, and it's sewn to hold it together, but you don't really see the sewing, and it's not machined yet. Even though the machine was invented, it's not machined yet. But I want you to look at the back. This is silk. This is pieces of silk. Now this is all imported and very expensive back in the day. But I think these would have been silk shirts, maybe, right? So it's really beautiful. It is. It's really something.
This is Elena's, right?
Yeah, feeling like, okay. Then they had something called crazy quilters. We have crazy quilters today, but they go by a different name. So these are blocks. The ladies would meet and sew and embroider, and then they would exchange blocks. So maybe we could bring this up and maybe. It's gonna be in a case, but it's got the name. It's got here's the American Eagle. It says 1885 on it. And it's got little pieces of silk. Here's a wedding ring. There's a ring. It's probably like a curtain ring, a little curtain ring in there. And it's got all these beautiful embroidery stitches on there. So when you you can look at it closer. It'll be in the case. That's from my family up in the Adirondacks. And I had other ones, but I donated them to museums. I just thought it's like a real good part of piece of history.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do this without notes. That time was past. Okay, so now we're going to do the 30s. And I think there's a lot of Texas quilts in the 30s. Now, y'all know Sunbonnet Sue, right? Sunbonnet Sue. Okay, this is called Overall Sam, or Straw Hat Sam, and it was very popular quilt in the 30s, in the 1930s. And you can see they had really good dyes in the 1930s. After a while, those red and green dyes faded, but in the 1930s we had synthetic dyes, and they were mostly came from Germany. The aniline company. So, and these have like these little gingham things in there. That's a little later. So, I mean, this is put together between the 30s. Okay. This is a yo-yo. So this is another one that people would get together and make their quilts. I mean, make these little yo-yos and put them together. And now it was not used for work, okay? It's used for decoration. And this one is pretty darn good. It's got the typical green, and it's got then all these other colors, and you can see a lot of 30s fabric. And that's a lot of work. Yeah. Okay, this next one is called Dresden Plate. It's from the 30s. Okay. The Dresden Plate pattern came from Dresden, Germany. They made china. Okay, on the back of the china plate, they had a symbol that looked like that. So, I mean, women are creative. Maybe they had a piece in their home, and so they would. There's another Dresden plate in in this other room here that has red centers, and you've got to take a look at that. But anyway, that's a hand quilted, and I think it got a little help from a machine later on. Okay. The quilts I'm showing you are mostly hand quilted till we get it later. But we did have, they did have machines from the maybe 1850s and 60s, you know, they did, so. They were very expensive when they did. Oh, this is a beautiful applique quilt from the 30s. It's got a back that's all green. It's all hand done, and every single fabric is from the 30s. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Are those flower sacks? Or bead sacks?
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Okay. You know, American businessmen are just so smart. when they can figure out how to make a buck, they're going to do it. So she brought up feed sacks. They started, cotton became really, really cheap in the 30s. In fact, the cotton farmers weren't even making very much money on it. So they started putting cotton feed sacks on sacks of flour. And then the women would go and collect them, and then they would make their quilts out of them. So, and they kept doing new patterns. So there might be some home that's got 10 sacks of flour that they're never going to use, but they're going to have the fabric. Okay, this is a beautiful star pattern. This too is all hand done. And this is a little after the 30s because they are using these solid colors. Okay. Solid colors, because of the chemical and synthetic dyes, didn't fade anymore like they used to. So that's why you have these quilts with beautiful solid colors and beautiful designs. And the back is yellow. So cute. So in 1910 and 1916, there was a big surplus of, well, there was something called a tobacco code. Julie brought it. Women, besides the flour sacks, women started collecting the little bags and tobacco came in. I know. We are cheap, aren't we? Okay, so.
Frugal.
Frugal
is frugal.
Yeah. So here is, here's a pipe. Here's a sack.
Oh.
I know.
It's tiny.
It's tiny. So you had to unsew it, put it together.
We think some of them are bigger, too.
Yeah,
Sacks
yeah.
are bigger.
Yeah. And so this lady collected the sacks and dyed them pink.
Wow.
And Julie, did you have something else to say?
That's not mine.
That's something the lady who brought it for the, yeah. But the pipe is there. Somebody said, so this is a family quilt by, who is it? Deanne. anyway, she said that her granddaughter said, "Oh, so that's the quilt that killed Grandpa."
Okay, she said they used 360 to 390 sacks to make an average quilt. Approximate total cost of 65 cents. She dyed it pink in 1931 to give to her granddaughter. So,
Deanne Williams.
Deanne Williams, Deanne Williams. So, and this is what it goes.
okay, this is a 1930s quilt, and maybe, I mean, it's got every single fabric from the 1930s in here. So this lady worked really hard to get this. Okay, now who's gonna tell me the pattern?
Irish
Exactly right. Irish chain came when the Irish emigrated, and this one, which was earlier in the century, and so everything it's all hand quilted, it's all hand done, and it's just really a beautiful example of 30s and quilting.
It's in the loving care of Karita Gould,
Oh,
and but it was made by her neighbor's grandmother, maybe.
Right.
Yes.
well, it wasn't. I started doing research on some of these quilts. It would take like a year to make, and some people that had money would pay someone to make them a quilt, just like we do now. And this could be one. So this is a crowning achievement of the 1930s. Look at, if you can see how tiny the octagons are that make it, and then look at this beautiful border that they Diane.
Wow.
This is Diane's.
Diane, can we keep it?
Yeah,
in a
Diane
case?
Woodward's.
Is it okay? We keep it here in a case? Sure.
Can we see the back, the quilting on the back?
Yes.
Oh,
Look at
Oh,
that.
wow.
Was it a family piece or?
Yeah, my husband's grandmother got it for his niece. Yes, for his niece. It was a nice show.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we're gonna put it here.
Okay,
Wait.
no, wait. You want to do some door prizes.
Okay. I'll get a random number generator out.
We have 30s fabric commemorating these 30 things for door prizes. And she's gonna do the auto generator number from your sign in, and
Number 18 is, goes from 1 to 6. Oh, over here. 18 is Melanie Kamar.
Oh, my gosh. Whatever it is. I will love it.
And 27
Thank you.
is Ginger Smith.
but I'm not a cool. All right.
23, Terry Spade.
Where's Terry? Oh, way in the back.
Who is it?
34 is Linda Mudge.
Linda?
Did she leave? Gotta be present to win. Yeah, we're not fighting yet. Number 13 is Dana Legion. Like,
There she is.
There
Are
she
you a
is.
quilter? There. Good.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi, for that.
And, I mean, oh, it's huge. All right, so every single one of these, I think this one's actually done by machine, but the original ones were all done by hand.
That one was done by hand.
It wasn't.
That's my granny's,
You
uh-huh.
can see
Oh
it
my
in the
God.
back.
Oh, okay, oh, yeah, oh my God. So, okay, so I have to tell you about this. In the 1900s, apparently we sent missionaries to Korea. And they brought back bed coverings that looked like this. The cathedral window was first displayed at the Chicago 1933 World's Fair. There were a lot of quilts at that fair, and a lot of patterns were generated from it, but this was one of them. And the name of the pattern in Korea, because I'm sure you're all gonna wanna know, is Yeo Ijuman Bo, which was from the Joseon culture in Korea. So, anyway, we're calling it cathedral window, and it does sort of look like that. Anyway, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I know. So now we're gonna cover like some quilts that were made just for us, from our foremothers who made quilts to survive. Just they put their scraps together, they formed blankets of all kinds of materials so they could just be warm. And this is one of them, and it's got fabric from like, I don't know, 40, 50 years. Because it's got shirts and skirts and blankets and all sorts of different kinds of things. And it's pretty old because the back is like an old muslin, and still it's all hand done. Yeah, very thick.
Thick cotton.
It must have been tough to sew. Now this is from the 50s and it weighs a ton. And can you tell back there what it's made of? Corduroy. I know. Okay, so it's tied. Okay, so now look at the back. Oh my God. So it's like two layers of corduroy and there's no batting in there. But it weighs a ton. That's just amazing. Yeah, that's okay, so this is another one Jerry Hansen brought. And this quilt is made from suits and shirts and whatever the person could find to keep warm with. Okay, so you can see this is serge wool, and then there's black, I'm not sure what fabric. Every single kind of fabric. And the back is woven.
In the 70s, yes.
Yeah. So this, Jerry, where did you get this? You rescued it from somewhere.
Estate sales and
Oh.
wherever.
You find wonderful things in the estate sales.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I'm surprised by how big these quilts are when they didn't have queen and king size beds back then.
Yeah. I think, yeah, they could have doubled them up.
And
They draped them all the way down to the floor, though,
Right.
you know, so they.
Which
my
was-
sister.
Now this next quilt has quilts from like 3 or 4 different time periods. No,
Whoops, I got it backwards.
Yeah. It's not really sewn quite yet.
There we go.
Well, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. And I really like this because I wanted to tell you something about it. Now, these blues are old, but this one is, you know, that's probably from the 60s or 70s. And and these old ones, they had good dyes, but this red dye was not a permanent dye. Now, what's interesting about this is I want to show this batting. Okay, so this is the batting. Hold the batting up. You can see that in some of them there's little seeds. So even that the very first white quilt I showed you had, if you hold big old white quilts up, sometimes you can see the seeds because the process wasn't good just yet. Yeah, so they're in there. So that's pretty interesting on that. So that's pretty cool. And she didn't know what to, she didn't.
Is this full?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been smushed. I didn't think it was cotton at first either.
Well, because sometimes the seed is in the wool
Yeah.
too. They call it DM, vegetable matter.
Okay, so we're gonna try to be in the last century. Okay, this is from Denise, and this is called Morning Star. And 1997.
Oh, you did that. I pieced it. That was from my very first ever quilting class.
Oh, wow.
It was not my family.
So it's gonna be good fabric, and that's machine. But we were experimenting with all different kinds of ways to do a quilt, and this one is painted.
Oh,
This is the friendship quilt.
Yeah, that's our quilt.
he is. He has some, it has
Go
like
ahead and
paint
touch it.
cluster.
Go out there.
He has several openings that you might see on that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, it's got James Townsend, Goldie Emerson,
Lucille,
Ray King.
Lucille Little.
I would be single.
What makes it a friendship club?
They all created one block and put it together. So
We used to do them for retirement parties. You know, you give them
This, how we doing? Okay, hang in there, we're getting really close.
We're getting there.
Okay, so, now you've all heard of chintz fabric? It was called chintz because they thought it was cheap and ugly. You know, chintzy? But it wasn't. It was a glazed cotton that was used. And this one was made by some, either Amish or, Mennonite people, and it's from Vermont. So it's a very simple design, but that is what it is from glazed cotton. I thought it might be fun to see that.
And it looks like it's hand done.
It's all hand done. Okay. Here's the thing. Y'all heard the saying, a stitch in time save 9, right? Well, when quilts were first made in the 30s and 40s, they wanted to have 9 stitches per inch.
Wow.
So, that's pretty good. That one has more than 9. The later ones had more than 9. And that one that, Diane Woodward brought the octagon, the grandmother's flower garden, that had more than 9 too.
For sure.
So in the 40s, you could get, in the 50s, 60s, you could get a pre-stamped panel and pre-quilted and just embroider it.
Even still in the 70s.
In the 70s, too, yeah. And that's just cute, and so, and like, she just, and it's got, it's got somebody's name on it. And, this is something, wait, I have to tell her. 4 pounds.
Oh, that's a tiny.
14 ounces. 4 pounds.
Wow.
Sunday, October 14th, 1979.
She said
I
she
taught her.
Your daughter.
No, I taught her.
Oh, you taught her.
I taught Susie Jew.
Oh, that's a good ending to the story, that means she lived.
Get rid of stuff, they just put some names aside for the dogs. Well, this one was donated. It's my friend here. Tamara, she told me, she said, Maureen, I don't wanna throw this away, so.
So you got it.
Do you know her? Did she want it back?
Her family, I think, is still around.
Well, if you know her, tell her to contact the History Center and we'll give it
I
back to her.
used to her mom, I'll do the digging.
Okay, so this is from the 1960s, and it's a very cute pattern. This is from Julie Dayton. She said it was in your sewing room or in your room?
My great grandmother made it. She died when I was 6.
Oh,
So she made that early 60s.
yeah, but it's still got some 30s fabric in there, so she saved everything.
Mom, that was my dress. That was my and Gertrude's dress. That was my mom's dress. It's a big quilt, yeah. And I had it hang on my sewing room for a long time.
Oh, it's heavy.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous.
Okay, can you help me with bring these over? Okay, so we have looked at everything pieced, and there were a lot of people that did in the end of the 1890s, 1880s, 1860s, started to do applique. And here's one from the 1860s. It's like a rose pattern, a simple rose pattern. This is all hand done, and here's an eagle and flowers and birds and stuff like that. So that was an original applique. And word to the wise, don't ever wash it in OxyClean.
Can you hold it up and pull it tighter on the top?
Yeah,
Huh?
I wanted to get a picture. Can you
Oh.
hold it up and pull it tight? Pull it tight on the top. Yay.
Pull it right on the top.
There you go.
Got it.
So that's what applique looked like in the 1800s. Then, this quilt right here is from this century. And Brenda, are you here?
I'm here.
When did you make that?
I think it says on the back, it was in the 2003.
Completed in 2003.
Okay, there you go.
So this is an, here we are in this, finally, we made it. And it looks like the fabric is hand dyed, and I mean, there's all that beautiful, incredible hand stitching. So, I mean, that's really a masterpiece.
Yeah, it took me a year to make that.
I believe it, yeah. I know, little beads and flowers and stuff. So that's a magnificent piece. But some of us don't want to do a quilt in a year. We want to do it in like a month or less. So then there's machine applique and machine okay. And a gal in our guild, Sharon Waistany, she made this quilt. She didn't make this quilt. She made a quilt similar to this and won a big prize. So then I had to try. So, but I mean, you can see how things have progressed. Look at these crazy colors and stuff that we decide to use, but it's all a machine applique.
Is it turned?
No. You can put like a 1.2 zigzag on your machine and
It's right.
put indivisible. Yeah. And then finally, I have to put different kinds of fabric, different ways, and maybe make quilts for more decoration or wall hanging. So,
Someone was asking about wool applique. Was that you
no,
yesterday?
no.
No, just quilts made of wool.
Yeah, okay.
There was a wool
Oh,
applique in that.
Okay, yeah, so here's
So
wool
here's
applique.
a-
Yeah, so it's different than what
Yeah. In, it's like a sampler, you know, like a real sampler with the alphabet, and they always had a house and a sailing ship. So, like, it's sort of a Baltimore album would have some of those same symbols, but now this is wool. Yeah. So, mimic Susie Black, you know, this is art and this is also survival. And so, I mean, please appreciate it, love it, and go and see it when you can. Thank you very much.
All right, I have two announcements. One, I want to thank Maureen so much for coordinating from the History Center side, and she's done a lot of work, and she finally touches all the cases and so forth. And so speaking of cases, we're going to put some of the quilts in cases. We've got a stack in here. I've kind of gotten permission from people who want to keep them, but if you brought something for the bed turning, the quilts are right back here behind this wall. Please take them with you. We want you to, yeah, there's refreshments in the other room. We want you to, we have quilts in all three rooms, and please go through and see. And then our quilt guild is having a garage sale. So, Julie.
It's on February the 1st, from 9 to 1, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a Saturday. And at Peace Lutheran Church on Market Street. We have lots and lots of fabric and tools and notions and all that. We got 30 some in sellers. Well, they're bringing it on.
Yeah.
February the 1st, Saturday.
Right, so,
It's all quilt related.
yeah, it's all
All quilt
sewing,
related,
it's a
yeah.
sewing related, quilt related, fabric related. Come get your stuff. And it'll be, so 20% of all sales that are personal go to the guild, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been donated that just goes straight to the guild, so it's a guild fundraiser. So, all right, enjoy. Thank you so much.